you're missing out on hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of dollars because you're not following up or nurturing leads properly and for long enough. Most videos on this topic just talk about follow-up in theory and don't break down the actual process step by step that you need to go through in order to maximize the amount of sales and money that you can make from the leads that you've already paid for and generated. So in this video, I'm going to work through the exact system that we use step by step to book calls for both ourselves and our clients. By the end of this video, you're going to know how to get better results from the exact same outbound that you're currently doing and outperform all your competitors. As some social proof, this is 1,000 leads that we've generated in the last, I believe it's 8 weeks or so. Here are numbers of people that we have been working with recently, and I saw this reply yesterday and I thought I would share it. First of all, in my many years, I've not once replied to any of the emails about acquiring a business, SEO, or many other things. Seriously, kudos to you and your marketing firm. We need to deep dive on who it's actually doing it for you. That Loom type of video with your business and website in the background was so effective. Okay, so we know what we're doing when it comes to generating leads. We also know what we're doing when it comes to nurturing those leads into money. So to holistically understand what's going on here, I like to use a golf analogy. And essentially what we're saying is we want to try and convert or sell as many leads as possible. But to get there, they have to go through a journey. They have to cover some distance. You have to hit the ball from the tee box and it has to get to the hole. So this requires the prospect, from not knowing who you are, to trust in you enough to give you money because they think that giving you money is a good investment. And that doesn't just happen by them reading your email. Like, never. It never happens by them reading your email. It could happen by someone's told them before they get your email that, like, this is AI is this new solution and you really should think about it for automating your bookkeeping, and then you happen to get an email that day about automating your bookkeeping, but the ball was hit before you got the email. Or more typically, if you just get someone who's really keen off the back of cold email, it's because they've received your email, they've gone and looked at your website, they've probably looked at your LinkedIn, they've found your YouTube channel, they've watched 7 hours of content, and then they've gotten back to you, right? Something has been done to move that golf ball towards the hole. It doesn't just happen, okay? So just to give you some more context, if you're looking at like an inbound lead, right, or referral, somebody else has moved the golf ball towards the hole, right? And then the sales process often starts when the ball is like on the green and you're just order taking at that point. You're just putting it in the hole, right? Their auntie has told them that you're amazing and that you should definitely go and talk to them, right? Or their business partner's friend had really good results working with you, right? So something has happened to move that golf ball. When we want to build a cold outbound system, we want to think about this and make sure that we're building a lead nurture process that moves the ball, that persuades them, that builds trust, that builds rapport, okay? Because if you try and sell too early, they're going to say no, right? Or they're just not going to reply. They're not going to ghost you. If too big a ask too early, okay? So in contrast, an inbound lead is already on the green most of the time. So how I like to look at this is your first shot off the tee box is literally your first shot. They've received an email and they reply, right? That's showing you that you haven't had the ball out of bounds, essentially. They're somewhat on the fairway. Maybe you've only hit it 10 meters, but they've raised their hand slightly to say that they're interested somewhat, okay? And so now we want to get as many people from the fairway, from this first set, closer to the green, right? We want to build a system that moves them closer, okay? At this point, some people try and like disqualify leads, which is kind of ridiculous because you don't know anything about the lead and the lead doesn't trust you. So turning as many positive replies as we can into legitimate sales conversations. That is the goal. And people often fail by assuming that their outbound gets people on the green and then try and pitch or sell too early, okay? So this is the analogy. We're going from the tee box to the fairway to the green. If you've played golf, you understand what I'm talking about. Essentially, we're moving the ball closer to the hole, okay? How this works in the cold outbound space is you've got your initial cold outbound, your outreach, Okay, then somebody responds and you start that nurture process. And the nurture process, the goal of the nurture process is to tee up that sales conversation. Now, what people typically try and do is they only care about tearing up sales conversations in the next like 2 or 3 days. This nurture process can take 2 or 3 years. Okay, all right. This nurture process can take a long time if you're doing it properly. Okay, but people don't want to put in that effort, which I understand. They want money now, but you can also make money later and it doesn't cost you anything extra. So now I just want to paint 2 different pictures of 2 different businesses for you to understand that the same leads with a different nurture process will get different results. Okay, so let's just say you do cold outbound and then you get a positive reply, and then you email them info. So let's say they ask for some more info and a booking link, right? Or if they ask, yeah, like, tell me a bit more, you email them info and a booking link. And then maybe you follow up if you don't get a response via email. That's one business number 1. Number 2, the same lead gets sent to them. You add them on LinkedIn, right? You add them on LinkedIn, first thing you do. You make them a personal Loom video and you say, hey Bob, thank you so much for emailing me. I just thought it'd be easier to answer your question over a quick video because obviously it's a complex topic. So you answer their question. You then say, let's have a quick chat either like Thursday afternoon, I've got some time at 2 p.m. or next Monday in the morning at 9 a.m. I also have time. So let's have a call. Let me know which of those 2 times work better for you. Okay. If they don't answer, you call them at that Thursday 2 p.m. slot. You pick up the phone and you call them. Okay. Why? Because they haven't said don't call me. They've responded positively to your email. You can get them on the phone. You can call them, right? If you call them, if they don't pick up, you double dial, you call them again, you can leave them a voice message, you can send them a text, okay? Then you can email them again, right? If they don't respond to either of those, okay? You can then add them to a long-term nurture email sequence, and that can send them YouTube content, okay? Why? Because the YouTube content, if they watch a video, like if you're watching this video right now, then YouTube's likely, you've made it, 10 minutes into the video, 8 minutes into the video, you're likely to be recommended more content. Okay, so the retargeting gets done for free by the YouTube algorithm, so that's why it's nice to send people YouTube videos. Also, as a hack, it's why if you're having like a VSL on your website or something, it's good to do it as a YouTube video because people will watch that YouTube video and then YouTube will recommend them more content from you. That's just kind of a side note. And then you can add the emails of interested prospects to your retargeting ads if you are running ads on Meta or Google. Okay, which of these businesses is going to win? Which of them is going to have more sales conversations? Which of them is going to have sales conversations that are more aligned because they've already watched a video of you talk and explain your product and you've added them on LinkedIn? And so they've maybe seen some content on LinkedIn. Okay. Obviously business too, because this is clearly a better lead nurture process. Okay. Both businesses are going to spend the same amount of money to generate the leads. Okay. One of the businesses is going to make significantly more money from the leads. So the ROI is significantly better for business too, but we have not changed the outbound. This is the key part. Lots of people are like, these people that I'm talking to are not on the green. Let's go and change the cold outbound, which makes no sense. Okay. You need to nurture the leads to get on the green. You're completely missing this middle step, right? Because you're just trying to be like, okay, yeah, it's a par 5 or whatever, but I'm just going to only try and bomb shots off the tee and they pretty much all miss. And yes, maybe 1 in 20,000 outreaches is on the green, but that's not viable and the cold outreach doesn't work and I'm not doing cold email anymore. That's the predicament people end up in when they don't do nurture correctly or don't understand that the cold email outbound is not going to get them to the point where you can have a sales conversation. There's a gap. There's something that needs to be done in between that to build trust and rapport and get them to like you and trust you and understand you. Okay. So I've got this part that's been called tools in the toolkit on different clubs or how you're going to build the house or whatever analogy you want to use. Essentially, each industry is slightly different with slightly different things that are appropriate. It's just calling the prospects appropriate. Yes or no, depends on your industry. Also depends on how comfortable you are, right? Some people don't want to just call prospects if they haven't agreed to a time and agreed to a call. And I understand that, and that's completely okay. So there's other tools that you can use, right? So what are the different methods, modes, tools, mediums that you can use to build out your lead nurture process to nurture the leads into a call? So I'm going to split these into two groups, because a winning lead nurture process both maximizes the amount of calls you generate this week and maximizes the amount of calls that you generate from the leads next month, 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 18 months from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. They have both sides of the equation, because it doesn't, again, you don't need any more leads to fill up both sides of the equation. Okay. Here are the typical tools that are used for getting the prospect on the phone now. And you can be creative with this, right? You can be creative with this. This is not just limited to these things, but this is what we typically see. You reply to the thread and follow up, and just propose times, don't send links. Why? We find that if you send a meeting link to a cold prospect, it's got about a 40 to 50% less chance of essentially getting a meeting booked than if you just propose times. Now, warm prospects, if someone reaches out to me and asks for like consulting, or if they ask for a call, I send them my Calendly link, right? But if I'm reaching out to a prospect, I'm going to propose times. So sending Calendly links is fine, unless you're doing cold outbound and then you propose times. Email the prospect in a new thread, right? So if you email them, if you reply in the thread, the current email thread, it's going to be threaded with the same subject line. You can email the prospect in a new thread, so it seems like a new email. If you've had some back and forth with them in the past, this will land in their primary inbox because you've had a history of email communication with this person. Okay. Call the prospect. Pick up the phone. You can put the numbers in, and it calls the prospect. It's severely underrated for getting prospects on the phone, calling them. Texting the prospect. Okay. You can also leave them, make them a voice message and send it to them if they're on iMessage and you're on iMessage. Make the prospect a Loom video and send it to them. Okay. Why? Because in two scenarios, one where the prospect reads text that you've sent them, and one where the prospect watches a video of you talking to them and being genuine and being personable, which one do you think is going to get the ball close to the hole? Which one's going to build more trust? Obviously, you talking if you seem like a trustworthy person. Obviously. Okay. So you want to stack things that build trust. Stack things that build trust. Okay. You can connect with them on LinkedIn and message them. I just want to touch on one thing here. So the Loom share button is sometimes there, sometimes not there. We've talked to their team. It's there at the moment, but they said they're removing it. But then we talked to another team member who said they're rolling it out for all accounts. Essentially, Loom and other video recording softwares often have a little button when you can click share and put in an email to share it with, and then it gets sent to them. And it can say like, Hawani has shared a Loom video with you from loomshare.com, or I don't actually know what domain they're sharing it from. I don't think it's their primary, but it means that they get a video in their inbox from Loom, not from your email address. And we found that works better. So there's just a sidebar. I messaged the prospect with a video saying, hello, get your phone out. Hey, John, I sent you a video over email, but I'm not sure if it came through. I'm just rushing out, but I would love to have a chat with you Tuesday at 2 p.m. or next Monday at 4 p.m. if either of those times work. Love to hear from you, man. Appreciate it. Why? Because it's way harder to ghost you. And again, you seem like, oh, this guy seems like normal and genuine. Cool. All right. You can build trust. Leave a voice message. Call the office number and ask for them. You know, sometimes you don't have their mobile number. You can call the office number and say, hey, I'm trying to get in touch with John. I've had a bit of back and forth for email over him, but I can't see his phone number on his email signature. Like, is he around? Do you have a good number for me to reach out to him? Make the effort, okay? And you want to use a combination of these to build your system, and I'm going to talk about how to build the system in a bit. So now let's talk about getting the prospect on the phone in the long run. And let's just be real. Most bigger businesses with more money are more likely to be tied up in long-term contracts, or more likely to have more bureaucracy and things that can get in the way of them buying, right? The price is going to be less of an issue, right? Because they've got more money, but getting them to the sales conversation can be more of an issue because they've got more stuff going on. Okay. So you want to build a system that nurtures them for a long time. Our highest paying clients, our clients that do the most revenue, typically took some time to come through the lead nurture process. Okay? So you want a process that allows for that. You don't want to just say, like, oh, yep, I did this over a 48-hour period and I never heard from them, so I'm going to never reach out to them ever again. Right? Obviously, you don't want that. So this is some things that we do, some things that we see, some things that we recommend. Send a link to your YouTube somewhere in this process. Why? Because, as I mentioned, YouTube will organically retarget them and you'll stay top of mind. Add them on LinkedIn and post content there. Right? You can post once a week. LinkedIn, I've got different views about LinkedIn. I can talk about in a different video. Add them on LinkedIn, right? At least if they accept your connection, then you can then message them on LinkedIn, right? Add their emails to your retargeting ads. Some people spend like $2 a day on retargeting ads. You can just add the email that responded positively to those retargeting ads. Even easier, some people just use like a pixel on their website and you run retargeting ads to that pixel. Most prospects are going to visit your website before responding positively, right? That's going to be what most people do. They're not just going to respond positively without doing any research. So they're going to go to your website, probably fire that pixel, and then come back and respond to your email. So if you're retargeting people that have been to your website, then you're going to be retargeting these people. And what lots of people find is their website traffic and SEO is suddenly better when you start doing cold email, because lots of people are now organically making their way to your website. Okay. Add emails to a long-term drip sequence. Right? This is an obvious one. Maybe you have a drip sequence which emails people every week for 100 weeks for 2 years. Obviously, you want to add people here. They can unsubscribe if they want to. So these are probably the two easiest things to do that I'm just like, you have to do this, essentially. So block out some time every 3 months or every 6 months or every 9 months or every 12 months and send every prospect a personalized Loom video to re-engage them. So let's say, you've got this little process here, right? And let's say you're getting 10 leads a week, right? 40 leads a month, right? And let's say out of those 10 leads, you get 4 of them on a call, right? And out of those 4 that get on a call, you close 1. So you're closing a deal a week from the 10 leads. There's 9 a week that you didn't close. There's 9. So if you go every 3 months, right? Let's just say there's going to be 120 leads that didn't close. You can sit down, block out 48 hours, 72 hours, and make 120 personalized Loom videos for each and every one of those prospects and send it to them. And guess what? You're going to book a ton of meetings. But you've already generated the leads, right? They're already on the fairway. You don't need to go and pay more money and regenerate the leads. You can just make them a Loom video and be like, hey, Bob, I was actually playing golf on the weekend, and I know you guys manage golf carts, so I was having to think about you guys. I've got some ideas that I think could work for you because we're working with a similar company in Arizona. So I was just wondering if you'd be open to maybe jumping on a call. I could share what's happening with them. You can take the info and run, no problem. I think you could probably implement it in-house. But there's a few other things that's happening there that is super interesting. So let me know if you're open to a chat. Cheers, mate. You can send them a Loom video. Okay? Each one, a personal Loom video. Okay? You can do it every 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. Cool. You can clearly see how that's going to make you more money. Right? Another option, you can do the same thing, but you can just call the prospects and say what you're going to say. Hey, Bob, how you doing, man? It's Hawani. We touched base a few months ago. I understand that you guys, work with golf carts, and I was playing golf on the weekend, so I had some thoughts. Do you have 10 minutes right now? I can just share some ideas with you. Yeah, sure, Hawani. Yeah, haven't touched base in a while. Okay. So you can do all those things. Right? So what I would recommend as a baseline, what starting point do we recommend for people? Because let's say we're a doctor prescribing the best tools to use, right, or the best medicine to have. It's going to be different depending on your industry, and depending on your LTV. I would say most of our clients who make a lot of money per lead or have a high LTV, they just pick up the phone and call them and start building a relationship. And they don't try and sell them. They just, hey, I saw you respond positive to your email. I just thought it'd be easier to give you a quick chat. Do you have 5 minutes? Yeah, cool. So I see you guys are over here. How's it going? Da, 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 da. Start building that rapport, because they know they're not going to close $1 million deal for 9 months. So they just need to start building these relationships. The goal is to start building relationships. Majority of the work happens in this nurture process for a high ticket thing. The majority of the work, and people just skip it completely. Okay, so here is what I'd recommend as a baseline. Propose, you get a positive response, you add them on LinkedIn. Just add them on LinkedIn for the pure purpose that if you wanted to start posting on LinkedIn at some point, cool, they're there. If you don't, but they accept your connection request, you can message them. You can send them a Loom video on LinkedIn. Okay. Respond answering questions and proposing times to the email. Call and text at next available time slot, as I said. So say, hey, we can do Thursday afternoon and Monday morning. What works better? They don't respond. Call them at Thursday afternoon. Cool. You email them again in a thread. And then you make a Loom video 2 weeks later and send it to them. All right? That's what I'm going to recommend as a minimum. And then they go into this thing here. Block out every two days, and you can just say every 3 months, every 12 weeks. Do it every 12 weeks, okay? This will drastically improve the amount of good sales conversations you start. Like, if you're going from this, right, to something like this, where every 3 months you have your list of people that have responded and you make them a Loom video saying hi. Doesn't matter if you've made them 4, they'll respond to the 5th, okay? You are going to drastically improve not just the amount of sales conversations, but the rapport that you have once you get onto those sales conversations, okay? From here, you can get fancier. You can get with retargeting ads and content. Like, for us, our main long-term nurture, just to pull back the curtain, is like these YouTube videos, right? We do cold outbound. They either do a discovery call and then we recommend watching YouTube videos and then they come back, or more frequently they get cold outbound, watch some YouTube videos, sign up for like a lead magnet on the YouTube videos where they go into our long-term email nurture sequence where I'm furiously trying to build out like 100 emails to send over like 120 days, right? And then we obviously do every 3 months, Daniel makes them a personalized Loom video and just knocks them out, okay? So that's what's happening there. So people often say, hey, how do I manage my pipeline? Like, what do I do here? I'm going to say step 1 is you want to use something like Lucid. Let's just jump into a really random chart here. You want to use something like Lucid to map out what's going on. So you're going to say like, lead comes back, as I was doing. Lead comes back. Then you've got added on LinkedIn. Then you've got respond to lead with Loom video plus times. Then you've got call prospect at next time if no response. Right? Let's say you've started to build this out and then you're like, follow up 3 days later via text and email. So you're going to flesh out what it is that you want to do, right? And then as like a real simple starting point, you can either just have these as like a columns in a Trello board, if you understand what I mean, where you've got leads and you're dragging them between each of these stages. And I'm just going to say, don't build out any automations for this yet. Just bear with me. Or you can just use like a Google Sheet with tick boxes for each one of these stages. Like responded, added on LinkedIn, followed up 3 times, messaged on LinkedIn, viewed the video, replied, call booked. Okay, simple. Keep it simple, because people over-index on like a CRM and then jump from CRM to CRM. The amount of people that's like, yeah, I've tried Salesforce and HubSpot and like I've tried Monday.com's Trello board and I've done all this. None of them worked because you just think that the CRM will manage the leads. Now you have to manage the leads. It's your job to manage the leads. The CRM is literally just a way to organize them. And often the CRM is a way to organize them for sales teams when there's like a sales manager who wants to see who's like shit at their job. Okay. So the CRM needs to be worked for you. And typically that's why a Google Sheet is a good starting point, because like most people, if you're watching this video, you know how to customize Google Sheet and build out whatever you need to build out. And if you don't, just ask ChatGPT, like, hey, I need a formula where this box turns red when it's been 3 days since the lead came in, and it's going to give you a formula, and you can just put in there. Okay, you can build whatever you want in the Google Sheet. Just start with Google Sheet. Once you have a Google Sheet and you're like, oh, well, like, honestly, I don't need to add them on LinkedIn. Like, that's a waste of my time. Cool. You can get your VA. You can hire a VA if you don't have one. You can get somebody to do majority of the stuff. They can't make the Loom videos, but they can do majority of the stuff. Okay. I think that they're a more useful investment than a CRM, honestly, because now there's more flexibility that can happen. Currently, someone in our team does the follow-ups, does the connections on LinkedIn, etc., and tells Daniel which Loom videos he needs to make. Daniel's not doing that. He's got sales calls to take. Okay? So I would say start here. Then you can start building out CRMs, etc. So I just want to bring this back to the main mistake that I see people make. If they were interested, they would have gotten back to me. You know, if they were interested in the outreach, I shouldn't have to do all this lead nurture. They would just be open to a sales call. All right? What are they interested in? They don't know what you do or who you are or care. Like, you're doing cold outbound because not enough people are interested. You're doing cold outbound because not enough people are interested in what you do. You can't then just not make them interested. You just do outbound. Someone says, oh, that could be interesting. You're like, okay, do you want to buy? No. Well, too bad then. You need to make them interested. That's the whole point. The whole point is to make them interested. Okay. You have to sell them. You have to move them. You have to hit the golf ball. The golf ball has to be hit. And I think a lot of people, if you've gotten leads through outbound for so long, you're so used to the golf ball being hit by somebody else, being recommended by your current clients because you do a good job, which is a fantastic way to grow a business. But you can't take those same learnings and understanding and apply them to cold outbound. You need to learn new skills, which is how can you build a process which does the hitting? How can you make compelling content that shows that you know what you're talking about and builds trust to many at one time? Or you can do it one-to-one. There's heaps of ways of doing this, okay? You are doing outreach to start the process of making them interested. The email is to start the process of making them interested. They don't get interested from the email. Okay, that's the mistake. The first outreach is not enough to make them interested. It's just gaining some interest. After a first email, they're not interested enough to prioritize you over literally anything else in their life. They stub their toe. They don't care about you anymore. That is so much more important than you because you've done nothing to prove to them that you're trustworthy or that you're worth their time. You haven't built the interest yet. Let's say you've had now 2 video calls and you've shown them a lot of value and you've shown them other people that you've helped and you have good rapport because your wife went to the same university as their partner and you can talk about that. Oh, now you've got trust and rapport. Now, if they stub their toe, they're going to be like, I'm so sorry, like, I literally stubbed my toe real bad. I'll be like 10 minutes late to the meeting. Sorry, man. Why? Because you've now built some trust and rapport. You have to build that trust and rapport. Okay? We don't want to annoy anyone, but run the system first. And if lots of people say it's too much, then you can turn it down, not before. Right? You are going to feel uncomfortable trying to nurture these leads because some of it will feel like you're talking to a void. Okay? That's fine because they don't trust you. If they say, hey, like, I'm not interested, then they're not interested. You can take them off the list and you can say, fully understand, like, do you want me to touch base in like 3 or 6 months, or would you like to not hear from me until you reach out? Some people say like, yeah, touch base in 3 months. Some people say like, I'll reach out when I'm interested, and just do what they say. Okay. My last bit of advice. If you are not happy with the close rate, do not try and automate it. You're just going to automate something you're not happy with. So we see this a lot where we're working with, let's say, an owner who's trying to then pass it off to the sales team. You are just building the factory, right? And when you're let's say, the builder of the factory and running the factory, right? And you get some output, you're now just going to be like, oh, here's the factory. We're going to put another worker in there. And for some reason, the output's going to be different. No, you need to change the factory. You need to change the processes, what's happening, how you make these Loom videos, how many Loom videos, how you follow up if you add them on LinkedIn. You need to build all of this first to get to the rate that you're happy with, and then you can try and automate it, right? Otherwise, you're just automating a broken system, and then you can blame somebody else, okay? Make sure you're happy with the system first. And is it going to take work? Like, yeah, you're trying to essentially build a money printing machine. Like, that's what you're trying to do. It's kind of crazy to think it like wouldn't take work. Of course it's going to take work. Hopefully there's going to be stuff in this video which you can take and it can shortcome a lot of the learnings or lessons or holistic understanding. I would say at a minimum, if you follow this, okay, and then you can automate it, or you can start to build out a managing system like this, and then you can start to automate it by saying like, hey, look, adding them on LinkedIn takes too much of my time. I'll get somebody else to do that. This follow-up's templated and it works. I can get somebody else to do that. The key there is that it works, okay? After watching this, I hope you can recognize what it actually takes to get the most out of your cold email campaigns. If you want to have a system like this plugged into your business so you can ensure you get the best possible results from cold outbound, there should be a link below this video to her call somebody in my team. If you want to figure out how to build better campaigns yourself, there should be a 90-minute video on screen now where I can walk you through what we do step by step. I'll see you there. Peace.